Oh, what a bunch of twonks.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is a very different video because I'm not on my own. I've got somebody with me, it's great. And this is my best friend, Matt. And Matt made an appearance in another video on this channel way back last October because I was moving house, it was pissing it down with rain. And Matt, bless him, took a day off his busy work to help me and my other half move house, and it was pouring with rain. It wasn't really a day off for him. I still don't know why he did it, but it was great that he did. And he's come to visit me today, so we sort of spent the day together and we've played a few games and we watched a movie. And I thought, well, while he's here, he's agreed to come in front of the camera. Let's just have a little chat about movies and TV shows. And because you kind of already know sort of my tastes, I thought it would be good for Matt to talk about some of the shows that he likes. And we've known each other since kind of the early 90s, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
And we worked together for about, how long would you say, 10 years or something?
Yeah.
About 10 years.
It was 10 years.
And then the company we worked for went out of business, so we had to go separate ways in terms of jobs, but we sort of kept in touch over the years. And luckily we live fairly close to one another. Fairly close, you know, short, well, it's like half an hour's drive.
Yeah, not even that, 20, 25 minutes.
And in all those years that we worked together, we realized that we had very similar tastes. And I mean, when you think of those, all those years ago when we were working together, what are your memories in terms of, you know, how we got to become good friends and the things that we talk about?
Well, we luckily shared the same office, didn't we?
Yeah, so we sat in the same room, which helps.
And I don't know, I think it was you came out with some quote from some show. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something comical, you know, and I'm quite bad at getting the giggles nonsense. Yeah. You know,
well, the thing is, you knew what the quote was from.
I knew exactly what it was from, yeah. And still to this day, you know, I'll watch something on telly and I thought I'll just send Roger that as a text and you'll know exactly what it is.
Yeah. And you've even sent me a very cryptic photograph of like a close-up still of a movie. And I can normally get it. And you can even send me a picture of something totally random. And I'll get what he's referring to because that's how well we kind of know each other.
Even sounds, and do you remember the sound effect I sent you? It's a long time ago now, but
oh yeah. See, I know what he's referring to when he does that, but you won't. But that's just the sort of how we. In some ways, it's like it's my doppelganger because we've got very similar tastes. So yeah, I thought I'd make this video more about Matt than about me. So you know that I've been a film lover all my life because I was a bugger when we worked together for telling you about movies that I'd seen and going into immense detail.
Well, it's got this really good way of describing a movie, and you can talk. I don't know, say a movie's 2 hours long and he can tell you in 5 minutes the plot and you go and watch the movie and it's like you've already watched it all because you've just got such a great way of summarising things.
I think that's more with films that I've seen many times over the years.
And we've got another friend, Pat, who says the same. You know, you just listen to 5 minutes of your movie talk and it's brilliant. It's just like summarise it so well.
But this is about you. So I want you to tell me, firstly, and I know I've already asked you this question, what's your favourite movie? And you found that difficult to answer. Not everybody has a favourite movie, but it's fair to say that you have a favourite or favourites in terms of movie franchises.
Yeah.
So if you want to tell the viewers what they are.
James Bond, Star Trek.
Right, so you're a big James Bond fan and you're a big Star Trek. So we clarify, Star Trek movie fan.
Yeah.
Obviously, you do like some of the Star Trek TV shows, which we'll get onto a little bit later. So, James Bond fan, whenever anybody tells me they're a James Bond fan in order to kind of judge their fandom, and to see if they're on my kind of wavelength. I would like to say to you then, Matt, if you're a big James Bond fan, to give me, if you think of all the Bond films, I mean, how many Bond films are there now? There's like 20, is it 25? 25 Bond films. What are your favorite three? If I said to you, you can only watch 3 Bond films for the rest of your life and you'll never see the others ever again, which 3 would you pick and why?
Okay, well, probably number 3. Not everybody's favourite, but I like it for some reason, is A View to a Kill.
Okay.
Why? You're going to ask me that?
Well, I'm a big fan of A View to a Kill as well, so I want to see if your reasons match mine.
I don't know, I just like the whole plot line and what's the main baddie's name?
Zorin.
Yeah, Max Zorin, but he's really...
Christopher Walken.
He's just kind of a real mean guy, isn't he?
Christopher Walken has got to be up there in the pantheon of Bond bad guys, hasn't he? He's up there with like Donald Pleasance's Blofeld and I'd also say Drax from Moonraker.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but all his plot and everything is just so good, and the scene in the Zeppelin, the airship
with the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah, the Golden Gate Bridge. Yeah, I just like that film.
Yeah, and it's nice that you love it so much, because I think a lot of people rate A View to a Kill lower down.
Yeah. That's why I said it. Not that many people.
But I'm also a big A View to a Kill fan. I think it has a lot going for it, and I will definitely do a video explaining why I think it is. Okay, so that's one of your 3.
That's number 3. Yeah.
Oh, you're doing them actually 3, 2, 1. Oh, okay, right.
So number 2 would be The Living Daylights.
Fantastic. Now, viewers will already know that The Living Daylights is my favourite Bond film, and as testament to that, this is the big box rental copy that I bought back in 1988 for a staggering £80, which for a 17-year-old, I don't know where I got £80 from. I must have stolen, begged, or borrowed it from somewhere. I don't know, but there we are. So, Living Daylights.
Yeah.
Why?
Just excellent plot line. Timothy Dalton plays it really well, I think. And the scene towards the end in the Hercules bomb with the hanging out the back and everything. Yeah, it's just a fabulous, fabulous film.
That particular stunt, I remember when they released trailers for The Living Daylights, they showed bits of action, but there was so much action in like the last third of that movie. All around that big Hercules cargo transport plane that I never knew about. And like you, I can remember seeing that on the big screen. And when they fell out the back of that plane hanging onto that net. And
it's
this
flapping around.
Yeah. And this is like, 6-7 years before CGI really took off in movies. So it was a real stunt. It's just amazing. So yes, I'm really happy that you like The Living Daylights. So your number 1. Ooh, what's he going to say?
Well, my number 1, I think you'll be quite pleased with, is For Your Eyes Only.
Fantastic. Okay.
Which I know was in your video the other day of the sort of the best Bond film to introduce somebody to Bond if they'd never watched one.
Purely for action, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's got, like you went with your tropes, it's got everything in that film, hasn't it?
Yeah, they threw the kitchen sink at it.
Yeah.
And I think the reason for that was that after Moonraker, sending Bond into space, they had to kind of bring him back down to earth. And they just thought that had the franchise got tired, they'd taken it too far. So they really did push the boat out to put in all those action sequences. And it is a great film. It's really, really good. Right. So that gives us an idea as to your taste in James Bond. So Star Trek. Now, there has been a lot of Star Trek movies, as we know. There was 6 original Star Trek movies. And then I think there was 5 movies based on the Next Generation crew. And then there's the modern ones. Yeah. We don't tend to mention those so much. We kind of enjoyed them when they came out, the Chris Pine ones. But I think...
Yeah, you watch them and they look fantastic, don't they? All the special effects and everything. But
they have no longevity to them.
Yeah, for me, the first 6 are my favourite. Okay,
so let's do the same for Star Trek then, if you were to give us your ranking in reverse order of your top 3.
3. Okay. So number 3 would be Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home.
Yes. Okay. And your reasons why? Is that just because of its contemporary setting when they go back in time? And
Yeah,
the fun?
and there's kind of a bit of a humour going on it. And
A lot of humour. Yeah.
It was a real feel-good kind of.
After the sort of what they went through with the Wrath of Khan and the baddie of Ricardo Montalban. Yeah, trying to destroy them all with the Genesis device, and then trying to get Spock back into one piece, because in Star Trek 3, his mantra is in bones, isn't it? I think to introduce the humour back into A Voyage Home and make it a bit more light-hearted really worked, didn't it?
It did, yeah. And so I loved that film. Yeah,
it is a great film. Okay, and number two?
Number two would be not everybody's taste, but it's the motion picture.
Yes! Now, that's my taste, you see. I rate the motion picture as my second favourite as well. So also Voyage Home was my third. So we are matching on this so far. So well done. So what is it about the motion picture that endears you to it?
I don't know. I think I watched it the first time when I was quite young. And I think at that age, it's kind of a long film, isn't it? And
it is. And some would say it's boring.
Yeah, you can feel like a lot of time passes where not much happens. But the older you get and the more sort of in-depth you watch it, it just gets better and better and better, I think.
Absolutely right. I always say that the motion picture is the purest Star Trek movie, because Star Trek is about boldly going where no man's gone before and going out into the unknown and discovering something and trying to work out what it is. And that is Star Trek the motion picture. There's a bloody great big cloud heading towards Earth. They don't know anything about it. Their only hope is to go into it and try and communicate with it. And I know a lot of people say that the sequence where where Kirk is flown up to the Enterprise that's been refitted in space dock.
Oh, on the shuttle. And
and they say that sequence goes on too long. But do you agree that you think, well, in terms of the timeline of Star Trek, when that was released in cinemas in 1979, this is 12 years after the series ended. So this is the first time people have seen the Enterprise on the big screen since it was on television. It was a big moment.
Yeah.
And
you've got to spend time showing that moment off, I think.
It really deserved the kind of lovely sort of beauty shots as them going around it. And it's fantastic. I completely agree that Star Trek the Motion Picture is my second favourite Star Trek movie as well. And I've already done a video about it, guys. If you look back on my channel, I did one of the very early videos I ever did was about Star Trek the Motion Picture. I've got very fond memories of it. So I'm really happy about that. And I think people that know the Star Trek movies are going to know what your favourite is. But tell me anyway and tell me why.
Yeah, well, I think it's a strong suspicion it's probably yours as well, but it's the one with the baddie that you mentioned, Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan.
Yeah. And do we need to explain why? I mean,
brilliant story. Again, like Zorin in Bond, Khan is just a mean guy, isn't he? Trying to do everything he can to get his own way.
I mean, he feels ill will towards Kirk because he feels that Kirk stranded him on that planet.
Marooned him on SETI Alpha 5 or 6.
Yeah, I can never remember.
They thought it was 1, but something exploded, didn't it? And sent the other planet into
That's right. So, can you remember when you first saw Star Trek 2, by the way?
I can. Well, not exactly, but I was at my auntie and uncle's house while they were away on holiday, and my grandparents were there. We were looking after the house, and it was during a school holiday, of course, so they were away, and we were also on holiday, but we rented it from their local video store and watched it there.
Wow.
So I think I would have probably been 8 or 9 or something like that.
So I saw it at the cinema, and I went to see it with my dad, and my memory of it is very clear because I can remember my dad was tall. He was like 6'2", and I would have been 11 or 12, depending what point in 1982 it was. And I can remember my dad being, Star Trek, he wasn't that bothered. But he went and we watched it. And then there's a scene near the end of the movie where, spoilers, I'm sure you know this, but Spock does die. And they do a funeral and Kirk gives a speech. And there's a point in the speech where he's trying to hold his emotions back. And it's so well done.
It is.
where he says that of all the people he's encountered in his travels, his
Spock was the most
human.
Yeah.
And I remember at that moment looking up at my dad, who was sat next to me, and my dad had a little bit of a sniffle. It was actually not making him cry, but he had a lump in his throat.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that, and that's,
And I've never forgotten that. And then the other memory that I have with Star Trek 2 is when I was at school, we had a film club when I was like in, well, what was then second year. So this would be like 1983, the year after. And they had a video club where you could pay like 20 pence and stop back after school one night of the week. And the teacher that ran it was a big science fiction fan. And one week he had the rental copy of Star Trek 2. So I remember watching it at the cinema, and I remember watching it in a classroom with like 7 or 8 other kids in 1983 on a TV on a stand.
Oh yeah, they used to wheel them in.
They used to wheel the TV in and watching it on this television. And it is, like Matt said, it's the, I don't think it will ever get better than that.
Not for me, no.
No. You know, you've got all the original crew, compelling story with like a emotional, I was going to say payoff, but it's not really a payoff. It's kind of a downer ending. But it has that little bit of hope at the end where they jettison his coffin onto the Genesis planet, where it's in the midst of being rejuvenated by the device that exploded.
Yeah, but I didn't think of that at the time.
You didn't? No. Okay. So it wasn't until Star Trek 3: The Search for Spock came out that you think, So that's fantastic. So yes, in terms of your top 3 Star Trek films, they align perfectly with mine. James Bond films, I would have said my order was, I would have said my 3rd favourite Bond film of all time is Goldfinger. The Spy Who Loved Me is my 2nd favourite.
Brilliant.
And obviously my absolute favourite is The Living Daylights. If I was to give reasons for that, I'd probably say that Goldfinger was, I always struggle to remember what the first Bond film was I ever saw. Can you remember? It must have been one that was shown on television at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it would have definitely been on TV for me.
And I think mine's either Live and Let Die or Goldfinger. I wish I could remember, but I can't. It's one of those two.
I mean, yeah, like you, I've watched them so many times over the years that trying to remember the first one I ever saw is very difficult.
And I think if For Your Eyes Only is like the best Bond film for action, the best Bond film for like the Bond template in terms of you need a pre-title sequence, you need this to happen, you need a baddie with a big bass that gets blown up at the end. The Spy Who Loved Me is that template.
Ticks all those boxes,
I think. Yeah. But The Living Daylights is my favourite because at that point in the 80s, I was a huge James Bond fan, and it was very exciting to hear of a new actor taking over the role. Because Roger Moore was, as he was yours, he was the Bond we grew up on. Mm. And as you said, you were a big fan of A View to a Kill. That was the last film that Roger Moore did. And to have him step down and have a new actor take over, I can remember reading there was a magazine called Looking. Was it Looking? Can you remember Looking, a teenage mag? Probably a little bit before your time. But they had an article about Timothy Dalton. And I remember seeing a picture of him, a little black and white photo, thinking, no, he doesn't look like James Bond. No, it's going to be crap. And sure enough, I went to see it at the cinema and thought, oh my God, this is amazing. He's serious. He's not playing it for laughs. He is a cool, cold killer, which is how Bond is in the books. Great action sequences, like Matt said. So, yeah. Right. So that's kind of movies covered. So for our viewers, we've learnt that you like James Bond and Star Trek, your 2 favourite franchises. Would you say that in terms of movie genres, you know, where you're like an action fan, science fiction fan, horror fan, what's your go-to?
Well, I'm pretty open to anything really. But if I was to narrow it down, it'd probably be like sci-fi.
Yeah.
I like comedy films as well.
You do like your comedies, don't you? I'm not so much of a comedy fan, not with movies, but we'll get onto that shortly.
Well, there's certain ones that you'll like.
Very few. Naked Gun on Airplane, you know, those sort of things.
Pink Panthers.
Pink Panther. Oh, yes. That's very true. We're big fans of Peter Sellers and Pink Panther.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the most quotable thing in terms of lines that we remember. In movies, that is. We're going to get onto the other thing. Yes, that's very true. They were unbeatable. The Peter Sellers.
Me more than you, I think, but I can watch Carry On films over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, I like this is interesting, actually. Hopefully, everyone who watches this video will know what the Carry On films are. If you're in America, maybe you've missed this, but in the 60s, early 70s, there was a series of movies made that contained an ensemble cast of characters. They kind of mix and match them. Not every actor would be in every movie, but they were very kind of raunchy, at the time, sexy comedies. But there's no way those films are getting made now, which is a very sad state of affairs because they were harmless. There was a lot of women with just sex objects or lovable grannies. You know, it was one of those sort of movies. Yeah. But just for us viewers that know Carry On films, let's say, can you do a top three, or have you got just a favourite? Or because I mean, Carry On films, I can't remember how many there were. I think there was about 18 off the top of my head.
Right. Yeah.
What's your favourite? Have you got a favourite? I have.
Yeah, well, that's so difficult.
Yeah, I've put you on the spot there, haven't I? Well, while you're thinking about it, my favourite is Carry On Camping.
Yeah, and that was one of my top
Carry On Camping, because they did Carry On movies set in various times. So there was like a Carry On Dick that was like Dick Turpin sort of era, and then a Carry On Henry that was like Tudor and Stuart era, wasn't it? And so they had like historical ones. They did one set in ancient Egypt, and well, Carry On Camping was just contemporary 1970 England to do with camping, because that was the craze at the time. It was like a new thing.
Yeah, and they filmed it in the most rubbish time of the year.
I believe they filmed it, in the tail end of autumn, getting into winter. So the
field was mud, and I believe they sprayed
green paint to make it look like grass. That's right. So, what would you say your favourite is?
It's difficult again.
Carry On Abroad, or
I was going to say I like Carry On Abroad.
Hell's Bells, the hotel.
Yeah.
Who opened the bloody windows?
Hell's Bells was the town.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Palace Hotel was the actual hotel name. I like Follow That Camel as well.
Oh, yes.
French Foreign Legion out in the desert.
Which is the one with Bernard Bresslaw where he's done up in full kind of Turkish garb with the big scimitar sword with the turban on. Which one was that? Is that Follow That Camel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bernard Bresslaw. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Is that the one with
Bernard Cribbins? Yeah, but
is that the one with Roy Castle where they're eating the big dinner at the end and the whole building?
No, that's Up the Khyber, which is
Carry On, right?
Which is another one of my.
I always get those two mixed up.
Yeah.
Okay. Carry On, Follow the one with Phil Silvers. Yeah. You'd say that's your favourite.
One of them.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, one of them.
You see, I never knew that. I've never thought to ask him that question
And
before.
Cruising.
Carry On Cruising. Oh my God, I've not watched that one in a long, long time.
And strangely as well, not many people rate this one that much, and because there's not many of the original cast in it that Carry On England.
Carry On England. I think that's the raunchiest one they did, because they did Carry On England and then Carry On Emmanuel.
Yeah, which I thought that was classed as the raunchiest one.
Well, I think Carry On England, there's a lot more like full frontal nudes in that, isn't there? They get the boobies out a lot more often. I don't know if that's the reason you like it.
You will wear skirts will not be worn. You will wear battle dress trousers, and that is all.
Yeah,
literally, that is all they wear.
That I think that's taken from an On the Buses movie, isn't it? Where because you will wear the regular, company uniform as supplied, and they go nothing else. And he goes nothing else. And then the next day, the conductors come in, with just the blazer on, with nothing on underneath it. Anyway, right, so that's movies covered. Let's get on to TV shows, because I know that you're a big fan of sitcoms, as am I. And we're very lucky, being the age that we are, because we kind of grew up on a lot of really good sitcoms. And we had a little discussion before we started recording this video where we thought we'll talk about these three particular shows just quickly. And I mean, already, as I say that, I can think of even more, but this video will go on for hours if we do that.
Literally, yeah.
So let's talk sitcoms. Can you name your favourite three?
I can.
Okay.
So, Fawlty Towers,
Mm-hmm.
Steptoe Son,
Steptoe Son.
Red Dwarf.
Red Dwarf. Right. Now, I agree. They're all great. And funnily enough, all of those shows I have on DVD behind me, they're off camera. They're right down here somewhere, but they're there.
I see them.
So, Fawlty Towers, let's start with that. Doesn't really need an introduction. Everybody knows Fawlty Towers. I think it's been shown in every country around the world. So, and what people tend to forget is there was only 12 episodes. People think it went on for a lot longer than it did, but I think it shows how gold each episode is. And it would probably be an impossible question to ask someone what their favourite Fawlty Towers episode is, because there are so many. But I'm going to do that right now. So,
That's okay, because I do have a favourite.
you do have one. So you tell us what your favourite one is and just give us a couple of scenes in it that you really like, and maybe I can include those in this video for people.
Okay, well, each episode had a name where the sign outside the front was changed. Fawlty Towers was changed to some dubious name.
Yeah, quite colourful, some of them.
And I honestly can't remember what the name of this particular episode was, but it involved a character called Mrs. Richards.
Yes. Now, I seem to remember she had a hearing impediment. It was a trait, wasn't it?
She was, pretty deaf without a hearing aid, but she refused to use a hearing aid because she wore the battery down.
It wore the battery down.
Yeah.
Yes, I do have a hearing aid. Would you like me to get it mended?
And so
communication was very difficult at times.
yeah,
wasn't it?
that's right. And so there's a scene involving her that you always found particularly funny, is there?
Yeah. So she's at the reception desk. And she loses her glasses, doesn't she? Or she can't find her glasses.
She can't find her glasses. And I think she's after writing paper is what starts it all off.
No, I think that's another scene.
Oh, is it? Okay.
She comes down and asks for paper.
Yeah.
And Polly asks if she wants how many sheets or something. And she's like... And it turns out she wanted lavatory paper, but Polly thought she wanted writing paper.
Yeah,
That's why she was asking how many sheets she wanted.
Started asking the most insulting questions.
Yeah, but the scene at reception with her, she's trying to read something, isn't she? I can't quite remember what it is, but she's taken her glasses off her eyes and sort of
put them on top of her head and forgot that they're there.
Forgot that they're there, yeah. And she starts searching through her handbag, doesn't she, trying to find her glasses. And Polly, I think it is, said, "They're on your head, Mrs. Richards." And she goes, "Well," and obviously her hearing aid's not working, so she doesn't hear. And she says, "I can't read a thing without them. It's the only pair I've got." So Basil, in desperation, tries to write down, "They're on your head," and show it to him, and then realizes she can't read it because she's not got glasses. And she can't hear because she's not turned the hearing aid on. So.
And it's like this endless loop of
vicious
change,
cycle, isn't it? Yeah.
On your head! On your... No, on!
It is a great moment. So my favourite Fawlty Towers episode, because, if I was to rate my top 3 sitcoms, the Fawlty Towers has got to be in it. And I think it's the hotel inspector one.
Bernard Cribbins.
And yes, and Bernard Cribbins guest stars. And the idea is that Basil learns that there's a hotel inspector doing the rounds in the area. And he sees that Bernard Cribbins has recently entered the hotel as a guest. And he gets it into his head that he believes Bernard Cribbins is the hotel inspector. So I think
it's just the way he kind of makes himself seem important.
Yes.
Asking certain questions.
It's quite...
pushy kind of guy.
Yeah, and so Basil is a suck-up to him.
Polly, would you get Mr. Hutchison his main course, please? So sorry to keep you waiting. Mr. Hutchison will be with you in just one moment.
And trying to fulfill his every need. And at one point in the episode, he learns that Bernard Cribbins is not the hotel inspector. So he's immediately really bitter towards Bernard Cribbins for even though this is all in his own mind, but he thinks Bernard Cribbins has been tagging him along this whole time.
Yeah. So
he just turns on him. And it's a really good kind of window into Basil's psyche, because we see how he just goes from being a horrible, slimy arse kisser, shall we say, and he just ends up being a right bastard to him, doesn't he?
Is there something we can get you, Mr. Hutchison? A tea cosy for your pepper pot, perhaps?
And it's a great episode. It is very difficult to pick a good episode, because they're all, but there isn't a single episode in Fawlty Towers that you think, Well, I'll skip that one. You know, if you rewatch them,
They're all absolutely brilliant.
they're all gold.
Now, please try to understand before one of us dies.
So your next one then.
Well, we'll talk about Steptoe Son, shall we?
Steptoe Son. So for people that may not have heard of Steptoe Son, I believe America, it was remade. I think it was called Sanford and Sons was the American remake of it. But do you just want to quickly give them an overview as to what Steptoe Son was about?
Yeah, so basically it's a guy and his son who live in this part of London called Oil Drum Lane, isn't it?
In Shepherd's Bush, yeah.
Yeah, and they're rag and bone men, so they you know, the dad tends to stay at home, and Harold, his son, goes out most days on the round with the horse and cart, trying to, you know, muster up any scrap that anyone's thrown out, or things that they might have value that they can sell on to make a bit of money.
Yeah. And they did about 8 series of Steptoe Son. And I think the first 5 series were originally lost by the BBC, but they were found because one of the writers, I think it was Ray Galton, but I'm not sure, he had the foresight to record the episodes as they were being broadcast off of his TV set. So he had a very early cine camera, and he had it on a tripod and pointed it at his TV set, and he recorded them. Because back then, I think quite a few people, I know I remember doing this when I was a kid, they'd record the audio onto an audio cassette, especially with like Doctor Who, so they could listen to it back after the fact, way before video recorders were a thing. So the fact that one of the writers recorded them onto a tape means that when the BBC, in their infinite wisdom, deleted the original videotapes, because videotape was expensive back then.
Are they on video, or would they be on film and it was just storage space?
I think they had them on. It was on videotape.
Was it? Right.
I think the BBC only used to use film for when they were filming outside.
Okay.
So if you watch, like, if you think of an early Doctor Who story, well, I'm going to pick one from like Peter Davison era, because they're the ones I know really well. Whenever they're in the studio, it's filmed on videotape. And you can tell because it has a slightly fuzzy quality to it. But when they were having scenes outside, the quality of the picture suddenly increases because they're using, I think it was 16mm film.
Yeah, okay.
So it was on a separate element. So obviously film is just developed and then it's there for good. But with videotape, they wiped a lot of the recordings because videotape was expensive. So luckily, they managed to salvage them from one of the writers' recordings that he did. So what I'm getting at is the first 5 series of Steptoe Son are usually black and white and quite poor quality. And then 6, 7, and 8 went into colour, and they were kept in the BBC archive. So it is a great series. And again, there are many, many episodes, but do you have a favourite?
Yeah, I do. And it's one called Divided We Stand.
Divided We Stand. Now, I know what that's about. So again, if you just give us a brief recap and then tell us what it is about that.
Yeah, so Harold, the son, you know, is constantly trying to sort of better himself. And I think he gets to the point, is it, where he wants his own place to live and not be in with his dad all the time.
But he can't afford to
Can't afford it, no. So he comes up with this idea of basically splitting the house in half. So they put up partition walls in every room, and even in the corridors, they're like little narrow gaps to squeeze in with turnstiles that they have to put pennies
in the communal areas that they have to share.
Yeah,
he has a little turnstile to try and
he got surplus from the dog racing track.
Yeah, the dog racing track.
Put a penny in to make it work.
They have to put a penny in the turnstile if they go to the kitchen or use the bathrooms,
and put a chalk mark on a board so they could share the pennies.
Keep a tally, and then the TV.
You bought. Just with the turnstiles, Albert keeps wiping off Harold's marks until you add him one to
because he's not even, he's always thinking of money because he's a tight old git. And
so the TV, that's in the main living room, and which they've split in half in like an L shape, but there's only windows on one side. So he's left a gap at the top of the partition wall to allow natural light into his side because he couldn't afford to glaze it.
That's right, yeah.
So, but the TV is split in half between this dividing wall. So they've got like a 21 inch screen or something, and they've got half a screen each.
Yeah.
And they sat there they put football on, don't they?
They put the football on.
Yeah, and of course trying to keep it on their own side of the screen, but naturally goes to the other side, and you see them like, looking around, it's like, did he score?
Yeah. It's really well done. It's very clever. But how does that episode end? The ending's quite funny as well, isn't it?
It is. So it's just before bedtime, and they go into the kitchen to warm something up. I can't remember if it's hot water bottles or hot milk or something like that. But the kitchen tap is like a mixer tap fed through a gap in this wall, isn't it? And they pull it through to each side with a
if you want to fill the
string.
kettle.
And the gas tap for the relevant burners are on the wrong side, so Albert has to turn on the burner for Harold's side and vice versa. And they heat up whatever they want to do, and then when they go to bed, somebody leaves one of the gas rings on and hung over the top of it, quite a way up, isn't it? Is this tea towel which catches fire, and then kind of the next scene, you see some of the smoke and everything, and the next scene is they're both in hospital, aren't they? Like,
smoke
inhalation, yeah.
And the great line that the old man says, doesn't he, when he's in bed, he says,
So doesn't Harold say something like,
he says they came through because they've got two front doors.
The fireman came to the wrong front door, and he goes, Albert says, oh, well, they're always like that, aren't they? Even the fireman had to put pennies in the turnstile to get through.
Even the bleeding fireman had to put pennies in the turnstile.
It's a great episode. And my favourite episode is one called Upstairs Downstairs, which is where the old man does his back. So he's bedridden. And Harold has to be his kind of servant and look after him, be his carer. And it's called Upstairs Downstairs because the old man has him doing everything for him, carrying him out to the loo, getting his meals, getting him beer from the off license, getting him library books.
Yeah, because the toilet is outside, downstairs, isn't it? So you have to carry him downstairs, outside, and then back up again.
And it's like shows the nature of the old man because he's so ungrateful for everything his son's doing. And there's a point in the episode where the old man wants to watch the horse racing, but his son has brought the TV up the stairs into the bedroom, but he's left the volume turned down. And he gets out of bed to turn the volume up, and he jars his back in such a way that he corrects it, and the disc that was loose in his back goes back into place. So in a quick jolt of pain, he suddenly realises that he's
starts flexing and
he's like cured,
but then celebratory dance kind of thing.
His evil side kicks in, and he starts to think, well, hang on a minute, if I suddenly say that I'm better, I'm onto a winner here. I can stop in bed all day, and my son
Harold will do everything.
Everything for me. So he starts to feign his illness and remain in bed. And the beauty of the episode is where his son Harold, when he discovers that he's been lied to, basically, and he comes back from doing the shopping, and his little treat to himself is to buy licorice all sorts, which he empties into this desk drawer. And he notices that there are a couple of empty beer cans in the bin in the kitchen. And what is it he says when he finds them? He says, how
did they get in there? He says, I don't know, I've not drunk them.
Yeah.
Pretty sure the horse hasn't drunk them, which just leaves him upstairs.
Leaves that perpendicular point. And then he goes, and that also accounts for the disappearance of all the pink ones in my licorice all sorts. So he gets his own back by going up into the bedroom and telling his old man that he needs to have a blanket bath because he's a dirty little old man and he's been in this bed all this time. But what he doesn't tell him is he uses surgical spirits, and the old man says, yeah, that stuff stings, and he basically cleans his nether regions and he shoots up out of bed going, me ghoulies, doesn't he? And
runs downstairs, and Harold's like, it's a miracle cure.
And it's fantastic, and they're all great, much like Fawlty Towers. I can't think of an episode that's not great. They're all really, really funny. So if you've not seen Steptoe Son, you've really got to watch it. And I guess that brings us on towards the end of this video and your last choice for one of your favourite TV shows.
Red Dwarf.
So Red Dwarf, again, for the two people out there that maybe have never heard of Red Dwarf, if you were to try and sum it up,
Well, first you need to go and watch it. I mean,
Yeah. And it is a sitcom, and I think they did about 12 series of Red Dwarf, I think.
They did, yeah. But for me, the first 6 are my favourite.
Yeah, I think Red Dwarf fans would always say the first 6 are the best. They were the original 2 writers, and then one of the writers left after series 6, and maybe they went downhill a little bit after that. They're still good, but the original 6 series are by far the best. And there were 4 main characters in Red Dwarf. Do you want to quickly just explain who they are?
Well, yeah. I mean, to start with, it was a whole ship with crew, wasn't it?
Yes.
So
The Red
Jupiter
Dwarf
mining
is a
corporate.
big ship.
Yeah.
It's
It's called a
space.
dwarf, but it's massive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's massive.
Jupiter Mining Corporation, was it?
That's right, yeah.
So they go through space, and there's this big rock stuck to the side of it, which they're mining at the time, aren't they?
That's it.
Minerals or whatever.
Yeah.
And the kind of 2 main characters at that point are Lister and Rimmer, and they're second technician and third technician. And
Yes, Dave Lister and Arnold J. Rimmer.
yeah, and Lister's kind of a slob kind of guy.
He's the slob, isn't he?
Couldn't give a damn about anything, really.
Yeah, he's kind of trying to coast through his working career, isn't he? He's not got much enthusiasm about anything.
Well, he had a little bit of enthusiasm because he left his job as a supermarket trolley attendant after, what was it?
14 years, wasn't it? Or something? Because
He didn't want to get tied down to a career.
And then Arnold J. Rimmer.
Yeah. He's not got very far up in the chain.
He's just not very bright.
But he wants to, doesn't he? He's constantly trying to
he's a
work his way up. Yeah, and he's definitely a Jobsworth. So they're the 2 main characters, and say the technicians working on the various systems. And Lister gets put into stasis because he's brought a cat on board.
That's right.
Unauthorized.
So he gets reprimanded.
Gets reprimanded and put in stasis as punishment because he won't kind of surrender this cat, which leaves Rimmer to have to do a repair job on the engines, which is a thing they call the drive plate.
This is all in the first episode of season 1.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's right at the start. And basically he does half job, doesn't he?
He screws it all.
He bodges it, basically.
Bodges it, yeah.
And he's explaining this to the captain, who's furious, saying, you can't do what does he say? You can't do a half job on the drive plate or something. And just at that moment, the thing explodes, doesn't it? And everyone in the ship kind of gets
turned to dust.
Gets vaporized in this little pile of sherbet, little powder.
That's right.
And then, so what seems like no time at all to you, but is actually...
Is it 3 million
years later? The ship's computer, Holly, gets Lister out of stasis.
Because he has to wait for the radiation
to subside. Wait for the radiation to subside.
Yeah.
So he says, it's now safe for you to emerge from stasis. And he says, well, I've only just
got in. Yeah.
And it turns out it's 3 million years ago. So the human race is no more at that point, is it?
He is the last human alive. Yeah. And in deep space. It's nowhere near Earth.
No.
And can you remember the line he says when he tells him it's 3 million years have passed? What's the first thing that comes to his mind?
I've still got that library book.
So again, and he takes it kind of in his stride.
Yeah.
But in order, the computer, which has a funny personality, played by, what's the actor's name? Norman Lovett, a very deadpan sort of delivery, the computer. But the computer realizes in order to keep Dave Lister sane, he needs a companion to
talk to, basically. Yeah.
So what does he do?
He brings Rimmer back.
He brings Rimmer back as a hologram, doesn't he? Yeah. And what's his reasoning for that? Can you remember why he thinks that was the best choice?
Lister says you could have brought anyone back, because he always fancied Claire Grogan in the
Kachansky, yes, he had a crush.
But he said, well, in your entire
word usage,
you only exchanged so many words with Kachansky. You probably spoke more to your rubber plant or something like that.
To his rubber plant.
Rimmer is the person that you've exchanged the most words with, so he's the guy who can keep you sane. But they clashed all the time.
They clash all the time, and
arguing.
And the thing is that Rimmer is made of light, so for a while he's just soft light, so they can he's like a ghost.
Yeah, people walk through him sometimes. Yeah.
And then the third of the 4 characters in Red Dwarf, who's this?
Well, that's the cat that he got put into stasis for. But over this 3 million years, this cat has evolved into sort of a humanoid cat person, hasn't he?
There's a whole colony that formed their own religion and everything, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
Well,
you don't know about that.
You don't know about that later. But
yeah, this cat just kind of pops a panel off the side of a corridor, doesn't it? And hops out.
But the wonderful way that's characterized is if you think a cat is quite kind of a very kind of snooty and almost
a number one.
Yeah, it looks as selfish, and they always are worried about their appearance and clean themselves. So this is personified in the series by the actor Danny John Jules.
Yeah, who plays the cat brilliantly, I think.
Yeah, and he's always looking in the mirror, and he always has to wear snazzy suits, doesn't he? And really funny.
Probably not in the first episode that he, certain times he carries a little portable steam iron around with him. So he can
got a crease.
Press the creases out of his suit and everything like that.
And then the fourth character has a bit of strange history because he makes an appearance for one episode in season 2. So that's
by an actor whose name unfortunately
we can't think
remember,
of.
But the character is called Crichton, who's an android. So they Red Dwarf receive a distress signal, don't they, from a ship called the Nova 5
that's crashed on a planet.
Which has crashed on a planet, and Crichton has sent out this distress signal, and he sends out this message that there's a few people died on impact, but there's 3 survivors.
There's 3 survivors, and they're all like beautiful young women.
Yeah, Miss Anne, Miss Jane, and Miss
whatever. I can't remember that.
Yeah.
But I remember Lister seeing the pictures and thinking, "Oh my God, we've got to go down and rescue."
A snapshot of each picture, doesn't it? And of course, all the 3 guys are like, "Right, we're going to rescue them."
Yeah.
But when they get down there, Crichton is busy.
He's tending to them,
putting soup on the table.
But there's a brilliant reveal moment where they walk into the room thinking they're going to meet these 3 women.
Yeah, but before that, Crichton's there serving them lunch and stuff, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
And then you, as the viewer, see that it's just 3 skeletons sat at the table.
Yeah, they've died many, many, many years ago, but for whatever reason, Crichton is still
thinks that they're still alive.
Still alive.
He says, Miss Jane, you haven't touched your suit. No wonder you're looking so peaky.
Yeah, that's right. And then they walk in, and it's that brilliant reveal where they see for the first time. And I remember the line that Rimmer says when he goes, "Well, she's got less meat on her than a chicken McNugget."
Yeah.
And
no, but he says that they're dead. And he goes, "Well, are you a doctor?"
Yeah.
They are dead. They're all dead. My God. Well, I was only away 2 minutes.
So he makes an appearance in that episode, and then at the start of series 3, they realise that we could have Crichton as like the 4th crew member.
Yeah.
And I always think of him as like the Mr. Spock of the crew because he's the clever one. He's a robot, isn't he? But he's played by a different actor.
He's played by a different actor, yeah.
Robert Llewellyn. He was brilliant at it, and he has a way of walking and speaking and everything. And he kind of rounds it all off because he acts as like a real servant to Lister, who we know is a slob. So he likes to play on the fact that he has a robot that looks after him, doesn't he? And
sometimes to annoy Rimmer.
Yeah. And so that's kind of the setup for Red Dwarf. And again, there are many, many great episodes. It's a bit like Star Trek, and every episode they encounter a different thing, and it's how do they deal with it. Certainly from season 3 onwards. I think season 1 and 2, they have a kind of continuity to them, don't they?
Yeah, and I think in a lot of ways they were finding the ways to interact with each other and everything as well.
Yeah, and the characters were kind of finding their feet, and you were as a viewer. But then from season 3, certainly season 3, 4, 5, and 6 is when it really takes off, and there'll be episodes where they encounter aliens and various things. And so, what do you have a favourite?
I do.
Episode of Red Dwarf. So, can you remember the season, and then tell us a bit why this is your favourite episode?
I can see it's actually in season 5, mine, which is the actual. Well, you'll know which one it is when I tell you. It's the last episode of season 5.
The last episode of season 5, yeah.
Yeah, and it's called Back to Reality.
Yeah, and that title is a great title when you tell them what the actual episode is about.
Yeah, so I think the first time I watched it, you'd already seen this before me, because I didn't watch it, unfortunately, when it was first on. But you didn't tell me what the outcome of it was. Luckily, you just kind of left me to it.
Yeah.
So basically, as the episode starts, you get the impression that everything that they've encountered up to this point throughout seasons 1 to 5, to the end of season 5 is, not real.
Yeah, it kind of pulls the rug from under you as a viewer, doesn't it? Because you think, what? And
in a lot of ways, you think, well, crikey, this is the finale. It's like the end of it all because it's not been real. They've thought all this has happened and they've woken up from this virtual reality game.
Yeah, where they've been playing a game called Red Dwarf.
Yeah, and they think everything that's happened to them up to this point is just literally a game.
And it was very jarring when you first saw it. But then as the episode plays out, and what's really funny is the characters, when they wake up from this video game, are like the antithesis of who they were in the game.
Because Lister, who's a slob in the program, is
kind of a successful businessman, isn't he?
Yeah, and wealthy and, well thought of, isn't he?
Rimmer,
quite a powerful kind of person.
Rimmer's kind of, he's a sort of a homeless person, isn't he? Very scruffy.
Billy Doyle.
Crichton's kind of half, he's like a humanoid, isn't he? He's like half human, like a cyborg, I guess. And it is a terrific episode. But ultimately, we learned that it is still the Red Dwarf we remember, because what was the reason behind it? How did they end up in this situation?
Right, they ended up in this situation because they encountered this animal called the despair squid.
The despair squid, yeah, that's it.
So the ink that this squid produced kind of made them hallucinate, but also have suicidal tendencies or thoughts, isn't it? So, the hallucination bit was the fact that they thought they were in this game and everything before it was just the game. And I think there's a scene, was it Crichton's holding like a harpoon gun and they'd only got one arrow and he's trying to shoot everyone through the head at the same time, isn't it? to end it all. But luckily, Holly, the ship's computer, I think at that point is played by Hattie.
Yeah, they changed the actor that played Holly the computer. It used to be Norman Lovett, and then it was
Hattie Hadridge, isn't it?
Hattie Hadridge, yeah, I think that's the name. Yeah,
yeah.
And she was just as funny.
She was.
She was very deadpan, but obviously a female computer.
But it was her at that point, and she changed the frequency she was broadcasting on and kind of got through to Crichton in a different way, didn't she? Because he was an android.
Yeah.
And told him to turn on a fire extinguisher, I think, and that the gas from that extinguisher counteracted the effect of that despair.
That's right, yeah. What was a fire extinguisher? It was like a oxygen or something.
Lithium carbonate, I think it was called. Yeah.
So now this is really tricky because I was thinking what my favourite episode is, and I thought I had it, but I'm going to change it at the last minute. And I think mine is Inquisitor.
Right.
Yeah, again, it's so hard.
In series 5.
Which is also in series 5. And the Inquisitor is where they encounter an alien that is immortal. And he's going around the universe. And the idea is that he's working his way through every living sentient being in the universe and determining if they are living a worthwhile life. And if he determines that they have not lived their life to the fullest and they've basically wasted it, then he will erase them from existence and give that life to somebody
who's more worthy
of it.
So he's got this kind of gauntlet thing, hasn't he, which he can shoot erasure lasers from or whatever.
And it's just this whole character, how he wears this mask and the Inquisitor, and he speaks with this really deep voice. And of course, when he comes to question them, when he arrives to question all of the Red Dwarf crew, his kind of card up his sleeve is that he questions them using their own personality, doesn't he? So when he removes his mask, he becomes the person that he's questioning. Can you remember?
Because as everyone who is judged by the Inquisitor, your judge shall be
yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's the only fair way, you see. And it kind of works for the cat, because when the cat is questioning himself, saying, have you lived what have you done to prove that you've lived a worthwhile life? And the cat says, well, I've given pleasure to the world because I've got such a beautiful ass.
Yeah, he does.
And he goes, well, that's all.
That's your argument. It says, you need more.
You need more, And the kind of Inquisitor exonerates him as in, well, he's a very shallow being, so he's kind of fulfilled all he can do in his life. But when it comes to, I think Rimmer, he gets off the hook because he kind of says that he was bullied a lot as a child, didn't he? And his dad tried to get him to better himself beyond his capabilities, and by his,
I know he gets off
by his own low standards, he
acquitted himself. That's it. Yeah.
But when it comes to Crichton and Lister, because Lister is a big slob, he basically says that you have not lived a worthwhile life, and you're basically going to be zapped from time. So they very quickly have to come up with a plan to get out of this situation. And it's a brilliant concept. It's a fantastic concept. And interestingly, I don't know whether you know this, Matt, but there's The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Douglas Adams. Everybody knows the TV series that came out in 1981. And Douglas Adams, I think he wrote about 5 books. And most people think of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy in the restaurant at the end of the universe. But there was Life, the Universe and Everything. And then I think it was So Long and Thanks for All the Fish. And then I think there's another book called Mostly Harmless. But in one of those books, there was an idea. And I think the Red Dwarf writers stole this idea. Because in one of the books, there's a being that's immortal. And he's bored because he's just living forever. And he's thinking, well, what can I do to fill my day? And he comes up with the idea that he's going to go around and systematically insult every living creature.
Yeah, that sounds vaguely familiar now you mentioned it.
In the universe. And there's a bit in one of the books where one of the main characters is Arthur Dent. I think it's Arthur Dent. And he's doing something mundane. I can't remember the actual scene in the book, whether he's waiting at a bus stop or something. And somebody approaches him with a clipboard and says, "Are you Arthur Dent?" And he says, "Yes."
Isn't he wearing a dressing gown or something?
He always wears a dressing gown, yeah. And he says, "Yes." And he ticks his name off and he says something like, "You're an arsehole," and then walks away. And, Arthur Dent's thinking, cheeky bugger, why did he say that to me? And then the book explains that this is an alien and he's immortal. And it was Arthur Dent's turn to be insulted.
So
he said, Arthur Dent, yes, you're a tick. And I think, when I think about it, the Inquisitor is kind of it's sort of a riff on that idea. And it's only just come to me as I'm talking about it. But yeah, it's a great episode, a great series. You've recently rewatched them all. And I know when you were rewatching them, you were dropping me WhatsApp messages of various lines of dialogue that you thought were really funny. So I've got them all on DVD, so I'm going to start a rewatch of them. And we thought what we might do for a future video is do just a Red Dwarf video with the two of us. But we thought, to make the video more interesting, we'll pick our favourite season of the 12, however many there were, seasons of Red Dwarf, and just quickly break down every
Summarize each episode
and explain why that is the season to watch. If you're new to Red Dwarf and you think, well, I don't want to sit through all 12 seasons, we'll do a video where we'll say, right, this is the season to watch and this is why. And we'll do that at some point in the future.
Yeah.
And talking about future videos.
Oh, before you go on to that.
Oh, sorry, have I missed something?
Your favourite episode was The Inquisitor, but you said you just changed that. So what was it going to be?
It was going to be an episode called Quarantine.
Ah, yes.
Which is where they go down to a planet where there's a scientist that they think would be a useful member of the crew that needs rescuing. But when they get down there, they find out that this scientist is a hologram, much like Rimmer is. But they've been infected with a thing called the holovirus, which has made them insane. And the holovirus gets into Arnold J. Rimmer's hologram, which makes him insane. And he ends up holding the cat, Crichton, and Lister hostage in a quarantine room. And they then have to try and work out how they're going to get out of this situation. And yeah, I won't break that one down because it's another really funny episode, but
it is a really good episode.
It's a really good episode. So yes, look out for that in the future. Matt will definitely be back on this channel where we'll do a Red Dwarf video. But also, we just want to say before we end this, that we're going to the Royal International Air Tattoo in July. We've already got tickets, hopefully. Also, my little cat Luna's just made an appearance. I don't know whether you can see her. Look, Luna, say hello. So we're going there in July. Now, we've been to this air tattoo, which is always classed as the biggest air show in the world in Gloucestershire. And we think over 25 years, we've been there about 12 times.
Yeah. So I'll have to do a proper count up. It's about that.
Yeah. And we've already got tickets. So hopefully, because this is happening in a base called Fairford, which is currently being used, unfortunately, for the war in the Middle East. So we don't know if this is still going to be happening in July. But if it is, I was thinking I could do a vlog of it. Now, it's got nothing to do with movies. I understand that. But let us know, guys, if you're watching this and you've got this far. Do you want to see a video of us going to this air show and kind of what that day's like? And, we'll do footage of getting there and what the ground's like. We'll probably try and do some footage
aerial
of
shots.
What's up in the air if we can zoom in enough with our phone camera.
Yeah, we'll get a blue sky with this tiny little black dot.
I mean, I'll probably do the video anyway, but it's whether or not I put it on the channel for you guys to watch. I thought it'd be a nice thing as a document for me and Matt to watch. So let us know if you think that would be fun. And I'll certainly do that after we've been to that event. So I'd like to thank Matt for taking part in this video. It's been really nice to have someone to chat to. Usually I do videos on my own. So thanks for that, Matt.
No, thanks for having me. I hope it's been okay.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that you're happy to sit in front of the camera. And yeah, I think we've chatted long enough. I'm ready for a drink. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that, give me a big thumbs up and I'll see you very, very soon.
Okay, bye, everyone.
Bye.
All that remains is to delete your physical form.